Hello there. So I decided to do a video product where I interview various individuals, many of whom I'm familiar with, and their use of technology in social games such as VRChat, and how it's affected their lives, especially in the area of socialization and self-expression compared to the physical world. I also cover topics of how people may have used VR to cope during the time of the pandemic. So I'll be releasing these videos individually, and if you're interested or curious in the topic of VR or a longtime VR user and have experience with social games such as VRChat, I hope you'll find the different answers people provide to be valuable. I'll be interviewing Majestur today, so thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I'll be asking some questions, so feel free to answer them in a way that makes you feel comfortable, and if you need to bring up any personal stuff in relation to a question that involves, if you need to mention people, you're free to just not include names at all if you want to. Just keep in mind I'll be publishing this to a public video on YouTube, and if I need to edit it, I will. So don't worry about answering it perfectly, or don't worry about making mistakes. And if you need to take breaks while answering, just let me know. So if you're ready, we will begin.
Yeah, alright, okay. No problem.
So we'll do introductory stuff first. I think the first time I came across you was actually, I don't know if you joined my server, you've been in the Vinesauce community, but I don't remember if you were in my server when I first hosted, there was a dance party, a dance event that I hosted.
Yes.
I think that was the first time I came across you in VRChat. I'm assuming you were using desktop.
I'm not sure who I joined off of. Yeah, I'm not sure who I joined off of. No, actually, no, I was in VR, I believe.
Oh, you were?
Because even before, I had my first Quest headset, and that's pretty old.
Oh, wow. So you're using VRC in VR for quite a while, weren't you?
Yes, and before that, I was using an old laptop, but I remember the hub as far back as when it was medieval.
Oh, wow, okay, so you
that
were...
medieval theme, yeah.
So I think, compared to the other people I've interviewed, you probably have more, you have a little bit more history, using VRC and seeing what it's like and how it's changed over the years, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely not what it used to be, I can tell you that much.
So in relation to that, then, when did you first experience VRChat? I imagine it was first in desktop and then headset, or...
Yeah, I had a shitty laptop, but back in the day, you could run VRChat on a shitty laptop just fine because there wasn't really too much to the whole thing yet. It was just explore, talk to people, which, unlike now, but it's a little bit more bloated.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to deal with any of the public world chaos, or did you avoid that?
Fun story about that. Well, I was mostly introverted and I kept to myself, and people didn't, come up and say anything, because being in a public lobby back then was, you didn't have your own homeworld. You shared a homeworld with people.
Oh, God.
So, no, they weren't bad. They weren't bad. Actually, because it was niche back then, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's something I didn't even get to experience. I guess I kind of avoid that. So I asked then, was there anything encourage you to what encouraged you to get a headset? Because you said you had a Quest, so it seems like you've had a headset way before a lot of other people I've talked to. Was there anything that influenced you to get a headset?
I wanted to it. When I first noticed, this was the place to, really, express yourself, or, get out there and, explore different worlds in a new medium. I believe I definitely watched stuff like James Key and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing what other people have made. I don't remember if I ever left the hub world that much. I do remember a few classic maps, though. I just can't name them off the top of my head. It's been too long. I do know my names on one of the old hub worlds, because apparently I was in someone's friends list from a long time ago. I don't know who they are anymore, but
That's pretty cool.
it was fun.
Yeah, so you're embedded in VRChat history. It's pretty cool.
Yes, I was though I was effectively an observer. It's still fun witnessing stuff. Oh, Al's big Avatar corridor. That's a big one I usually frequented. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that one. I think that was probably one of the earlier VRChat maps I went to too, because I ended up using desktop first before Index. It's funny that you mentioned Jameski too, because I feel like Jameski, like before, like say Vinny started using like VRChat or any other streamers I know started using it and showing stuff from it, and then me joining things that they did through desktop. Jameski was like my first view into like how VRChat was, and I found his videos. Like, of course, he showcased a lot of the chaotic, the random stuff, the random side of VRChat. But for some reason, like I was just like, I found it amusing, and I was just slowly fell in love with it through him.
Yeah, especially with how much freedom you could have compared to other massive online hangout simulation type stuff, especially back when it was first released.
Oh yeah. So this is going to be actually before I get to that, so I want to ask, this is something I asked other people, because obviously getting yourself adjusted to the VR space is a unique experience, and I've had it described to me. Like, basically the thing is like when you're trying to describe VR to people who've never used VR before, it's kind of hard to get them to truly understand what it's like unless they actually finally get into VR themselves. So like people say, oh, it's like going from 3D to 4D, but you're not gonna know what that's like until you finally get a headset yourself. So did you have that, like, did you have an interesting experience? Like, how would you describe being, like, experiencing virtual reality, like, for the first time?
Well, I know I said I had a long history in that, and before even having a headset. However, I guess the first time I've had a headset on was around one kind of how the most recent Hubble, I guess, like when it was a little bit more bare bones. So I went in, right? And what's the first thing that I do? Well, most people don't look down when they fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just went right in. Yeah, and it felt kind of exciting. Like, it's like, holy shit, well, there's a lot I can do and not really have much fear in it. Like, it's, I don't know if I'd consider it a second skin. It's more so like it amplifies a lot of stuff in the brain, and a lot of focus goes towards more just doing it in the moment and going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the best way I could describe how that feels is just if you're someone like me, which maybe doesn't get out very much, and when you're exploring all kinds of different places that people make, kind of, it feels great. I can't describe it too much. I guess it's like it feels a lot more productive than it probably realistically is. But if you like exploring, or if you like exploring, then yeah, it's good. It just feels good. I can't describe it too much. It's just,
it's something that
I'm captivated by the creations and creating stuff.
It's definitely something that you can fully, like, you can really, really appreciate once you finally are able to experience it in VR compared to being on desktop, for sure. Even though VR is not as accessible, but it's a different experience, for sure.
It may not be, but it's very, very immersive. I guess it's like having a second pair of, I guess, much like being online. Having an online persona, probably have your own VR persona.
So it's like a third.
That's what I would consider it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was. I'll bring this up in a later question too. But, you know, it's describing how you have you have meat space in your physical self, and what you do there, and then you have the internet space, and a lot of that is just like interacting with people through text or voice, and then you have the VR space now, which is like combining elements of the physical space, like more personal stuff with like the online space. So it's a very unique place to be in for sure. Let's see. When it comes to socialization in the physical space, how would you describe yourself? And this is like kind of like, let's say pre-VR. Well, actually, it could be after VR too, but like this is more regarding like how you are before using VR. But how would you describe yourself in the physical space, like when it comes to socializing or interacting with others? And how would you say this translates to like your internet interactions? Like, is there any similarity between the two, or how would you describe yourself?
I try to keep those as separate as possible, if I can help it. And I would like to think that I haven't really changed that much at all, in a good way. Like, you know, like I feel like nothing's changed because I don't really after like college, high school, and all that, I don't really talk to people, but I'm not the one who initiates a conversation. But if someone talks to me and I'm comfortable with speaking to them, I'll be like, yeah. I'll just start talking to them and doing all that. Kind of like recently when I was Ubering all over the place for too many games. I'll talk here and there.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Someone else kind of brought that up too, but some of us, it's like I definitely can keep to myself. But if someone, like, you know, I'm not a conversation starter, but someone comes up to me and starts talking, and it's on a subject that like I can actually provide some input on, then yeah, I'll talk. I'll probably be talking.
Yeah.
So I want to mention, did you notice, like, after using VR for a while, did it change or influence the way you interact with others in a social space compared to, like, how you would interact with people in a physical space? Did you notice any, like, differences after using VR for a while and interacting with people in VR? Have you noticed any changes?
With physical people, I practically see the same people every day, so I'd say not too much. I feel like in my head I have like this like strong like the big divider, really. Like I can't like I feel like I'm too aware to not do some stuff on accident like I would do in VR, like reach my hand out and try to grab something that's far away, for example. Yeah, I think I'm a little too aware to be doing that. But I can say this much. This is not really related to the question, but it is related in the sense that, you know, it's a byproduct of being on the computer for as long as I have been. Sometimes, like, you ever walk sometimes, but your arms, like your forearms, just drift into that keyboard position.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd just be like, wait, no. Yeah, a lot of that, but not much in the VR sense.
Has it actually helped you using VR for a while? Have you noticed any differences in the way you interact with people? Like, have you noticed it improved the way you used to interact with people before, by chance? Like, has it helped you open up?
I'd say perhaps. Actually, no. Yes, it has. Actually, that's what I meant to say. Like, I feel like I definitely opened up a lot more and ended up doing a lot more stuff and getting involved in at least one other different community.
Yeah, it encouraged you to like getting into. It seems like it's encouraged you to get into creating a lot of stuff too, from what I've seen, as well, huh?
Yes, yeah. Like, I don't know if you know this, but there's an inspiration. Someone who was my inspiration for that, but then I started to do my own stuff. I don't know if you know them. I think they're called Agent-RedJackal.
Oh. Oh, I wonder who that is. That couldn't possibly be me because I'm always blue in VRChat, you know. Most of the time, I don't know who this red-haired person is. I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, I might not know them. They're kind of niche, but I still really like their content.
Oh, very good, very good. Let's see. Did you happen to? Obviously, you've had a headset for a long time, and you've played VRC a lot longer than some of the other folks that I've talked to and me. So I want to ask: did you use VRC during the pandemic, and did it help you cope with it at all?
Oh yes, actually, before the whole thing, I don't think the first year I did, or if I did, it was on desktop. But the first year, I got a pre-built computer because, you know, I was, I at the time I didn't really trust myself to really put something together because I take a lot longer than most people to do stuff because I generally, I get lost in my head. I don't know what you would call that.
That's relatable.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, so I brought that, right? And this was just before the pandemic, so I pretty much saved a lot of money, basically, by doing that. Because I didn't know it was going to get that bad, but it did. But the year over, I think, or rather, I think it was not even a month later, maybe? Maybe it was the following month. I happened to see one at Walmart, right? And it was for like MSRP. So I was like, you know what? I enjoyed VR spaces. I want to really try that out. And at the time, it was either expensive option number A, expensive thing B, or the Quest, which was only $300 at the time. So naturally, I spent the rest of my birthday money and then on that. And I don't think I regretted that.
Yeah, you seem to be. I mean, based on what I've observed, I mean, I think you're using a newer Quest headset now, aren't you? I believe so.
Yeah, I'm using a 3. Like it might have been a lot more expensive than other stuff potentially, or on par. But it's what I know, and also, well, I'm not paying for index.
Well,
like, I know it's great, but not with how old it is and how I'm not gonna sit here to wait on some hybrid or like some wireless Deckard thing, whatever you call it. At this point.
Yeah, I was mentioning to another person that even if they do release it, given the issues at the index, I'm sure they'll use the issues from the index to iron out stuff with the Deckard, but if they're shooting for something wireless, that's going to have its own issues. And I was actually pretty impressed with like the Quest 2. You do have to use a lot of workarounds with it to get the best experience in VRC. But it's something that's wireless and you don't need base stations, and it's a bit more accessible than the Index in terms of price too.
Yes. And to boot, you don't need proprietary base stations either, because then there's you open up there. Back then maybe there was not many FPT options, but there's stuff like Harry Tora. There's that one I keep seeing advertised in VRChat. I keep forgetting the name, but that's also an option. There's Slime, Tundra, just to name a few.
Yeah, it's nice. It must be nice to have options for FPT that don't rely on base stations, and that's something I have to grapple with now because I have Vive 2.0 trackers, and they're just not doing as good as they could be.
And I guess another selling point would be how light this is. I don't know how light this 2 is, but this thing feels the thinnest it could ever be without running into problems.
That is good to hear. That is definitely good to hear. I
also got a free game. I should probably play that sometime.
That's another thing that you can get to is free VR games as well. Have you noticed, sir, this is about like observations of other people, and since you've used VRC and had a headset for a while, maybe like if you said you observe people a lot, which is a lot, a lot of there is a culture of like people who just don't talk a lot and just observe, and that's totally acceptable in VRC. No one usually has a problem with it. So maybe you've observed some things, and you can answer this, but have you noticed or observed any changes in other people between the time that they started using VR until now? Like, have you noticed any like social or like ways that they express themselves? Like, have you noticed them like change, like kind of through their journey from starting VR up to this point in time?
I definitely think so. I'm not sure if any of them would like to be mentioned or whatever. I mostly see it in my friends, though. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Like a few of them definitely, like, maybe they start out just like myself. What were you gonna ask?
Oh, I was gonna say any specific things that you'd want to mention, or...
Yeah, maybe it was like them just being quiet or just kind of drifting along. And then they started talking a little bit more, and then not comfortable with us in general, that kind of stuff. I think VR definitely allows people like myself and others to open up, even with even I can't escape this in real life either, but I definitely interrupt others unintentionally, or I had to cut myself short because I didn't realize when the conversation was shifting.
Let's see. So this is a question about identity. I don't know if it will apply to you, but I've basically been asking everyone this, just in case they want to add some input on this. But what about identity or your sense of self, or your sense of self-expression? Do you feel like your time in VR or VR social spaces such as VRChat has influenced or changed things about yourself, or have allowed you to explore yourself the way that is different from the physical space? Like, have you noticed that VR has changed the way you feel about yourself, or the way you express yourself, the way you identify, like, after using it for a while?
I would definitely think so. Like, in the sense that... Okay, so everyone... I know. Everyone that it happens to be a dude in VRChat at least puts on like a girl outfit or an avatar at least once, or they just are mega buff and 10 feet tall, and there's like no in between, or if there is an in between, they're probably I haven't seen it personally. But I think the more I go in certain types of avatars, the more I feel comfortable with that kind of side of me. Like, it's okay to not be the typical male geek or whatever. Like, it's okay to just express your love for like cute stuff, or like also how fun it is to just take yourself out of yourself. That's why I love VR. You can take yourself out of yourself and just be whatever the fuck you want, and it'll be all fine.
Yeah, you get to have fun with that. I brought up when I was interviewing someone else that, like, and this is something I heard about too, especially if you're, you're born male. Obviously, there's a lot of societal, depending on where you come from too, or like how your family's like, you might have a lot of societal expectations put on you, or your family might have certain expectations of you, and so you're like not able to. You might not be able to fully express yourself in the way you want, or you might be afraid to like show different sides of yourself because of those expectations. So from what I've heard, especially from people who use VRChat, they're able to like the example I brought up is like there might be a dude who's like rugged, like a big dude who's rugged and like in real life, but then when he goes into VR, you know, he might even don on like a feminine avatar or like a cute avatar, and he's like, hey, and whenever I go on VRC, I can just have fun and like I can be cute if I want. I can be like a little thing, or I can just look however I want and be able to like express myself freely without having to worry about like maybe physical limitations or how people perceive you in real life.
Yeah, although I definitely do wish. Okay, this is a little silly, but you know, I definitely fluctuate between avatars because I port so many. I shouldn't say make, but I think I made at least one or two. But anyways, I definitely, you know, I have trouble sticking to one avatar. I know I probably should. I should just do whatever, but whenever like someone associates a character with another person, I'm like, it's hard to stick to one thing with me. Like, I want people to point and say, "Hey, look, it's you."
It's fun to try out different bodies, so that's the freedom of VRChat. That's what's cool about it.
Yeah, I guess that's the one thing that's different for me from my IRL self. My IRL self is like, I get up, clean myself, put stuff on. If you don't notice me, then I'm fine with that. Considering my background and my general, not my location, I guess, my upbringing, I guess, my shit upbringing, I guess. I definitely have lived a lot more frugally, so whenever there was a little bit more than I'm used to having, I definitely still have that sort of like instinct to just, you know, just not be too concerned with what I wear, just as long as, you know, it's not garish, I guess, or not horrible.
That's definitely understandable. Let's see. So what's your opinion of VR being used as a form of like mental health therapy or a form of therapy generally?
I think yeah. I think why not? Like, I mean, the medium allows for two things. A closer connection with someone that would otherwise be just a face on a webcam, or even maybe in some cases just text or voice on a phone call. I think if you can attribute some corporeal form to someone while you're talking to them and while you're hanging out, you know, getting over whatever it is that's going on with you, or maybe not, maybe you're just talking just to talk, life updates and all that. But anyways, I think more people should definitely consider that, or more institutions, more places that host sort of therapy sessions should look into considering that. I understand that it's not, if therapy is already too expensive, depending on where you are, then I guess you can't really expect anyone to also get a headset on top of that.
Yeah, I've looked into it myself, and it's definitely something that people are researching and some places are trying out. I think it might be more, it depends on how they use it, but it could be more cost effective, because it's like that thing where you get the headset once, and then you can essentially do all your sessions and your therapy, and especially if you choose to do therapy without like any medications or anything, because those are going to cost a lot. If your therapy is specifically like just programs or software that you download, maybe it could cut costs, but that's just something that's still being looked into, and it's the research is in a way. There's definitely programs like for people with PTSD, like veterans and like other mental health conditions that they're researching with VR, but it's something that they're looking into, definitely for sure. And then would you say that it's helped you as well?
I'd imagine.
Yeah, it is.
I'd say from the times that it definitely helps in the real space, definitely with whatever I have to put up with, or you know, there are times where I really want to say something, but if I know if I do, then well, I don't want to kiss my ass goodbye, like from the place I live.
So the VR would definitely give you a lot more freedom in that sense. So definitely, huh?
Yes. Like, I definitely enjoy it a lot more than where I'm currently at, I'd say.
That's good. You have a
life in real life doesn't offer a lot of amazing stuff on its own. It's just, you know, this is the place where I can, you know, let it all out and not feel horrible, basically.
Yeah. It's good that it actually provides like a form of escapism or a temporary way to like remove yourself from your current environment and just, you know, temporarily immerse yourself somewhere else. Where you can just kind of take things off your brain for a while.
Yeah. I'd say especially going back to the therapy thing, I think it can be very effective. It's just, you know, it needs more time to cook.
Definitely, that's for sure. So finally, if you enjoyed your use of VR and the way you use it to socialize and do other things, and would you recommend VR to others, and what reasons would you give for recommending it?
I'd say if it is in your price range and then if it's in your utmost interest, like as in like me, okay, even if it's not necessarily in your highest interest, in your hyperfixation, like much like us, right? Because we're probably off the deep ends in some aspects.
Oh, that's for sure.
But yeah, but you know, I think that maybe you could like rent one or maybe put it on. I don't know what you could do. Like, I don't know if it works like consoles or whatever, or like if there's like a money back guarantee thing. I'd say if you don't end up liking it, you can probably go with the cheapest option. Anyways, though, I'd say I'd recommend it if you're looking for a new experience in your life. If you can't really do that much, if you're looking for something else to do, something to cool off with, or hell, even if you just want a new way to watch your shows, even you could probably put this on and then just relax. There's a lot more you can do with this thing than just VRChat. Like, there's stuff. There's a whole bunch of games now. Like, you know, you could mess around with and play with. I think Blade and Sorcery's one. Like, a lot more actiony. And hell, there's even games in VRChat if you so wish to choose, because VRChat's free.
Oh yeah,
that's the main pull. Is that it's free, and there's a lot of stuff made for free.
It's a sandbox. It's like a big sandbox of just user-created content, and that includes games too. So it's like, with the amount of stuff that we have access in here, you hardly feel you don't feel like you have to go outside of it to really play VR games. Even though stuff in here is not going to be like as realistic, or it's not like Half-Life Alyx tier kind of stuff. But even then, it's still enjoyable to play, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely feel the limitations in some aspects, but I mean, if you play long enough, you probably just stop caring, or you actually just focus and get immersed in it. But yeah, I'd say if you are even a slight bit interested in it, I'd say the worst thing you could do is you'll probably be $300 and some out of money is the worst thing, probably, if you want to go with the cheapest option. I think if you're a little over halfway on the interest gauge, I think you'll at least get an experience that you wouldn't get anywhere else, I think.
That is definitely for sure. Okay, so thank you for coming by today. I appreciate it. Thank you for your input. I'm sure it will be considered very valuable, along with many others' perspectives on this topic in the video. I'm sure people will appreciate it, and I thank you again for coming by.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's definitely, VR's definitely helped a lot of things. It hasn't slowed my brain down, but it's definitely improved the way I speak. Definitely. That is
good to hear. That is good to hear for sure. If you like this video project and would like to reach out for an interview yourself, feel free to contact me here on the various social platforms that I'm on, and I'll be happy to set one up. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it.